Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I enjoyed the last $10 video so much that I'm doing another one, and this time I'm doing it at Dollar Tree. And I had so much fun this weekend. I did discover a new Dollar Tree and it had way more items than the other one. And I actually think this is new. Oddly enough, it was on the same street as the one that I go to always that's right next to the Aldi. Anyhow, looking at different items here. I love potato gnocchi. I'm trying to figure out what exactly I want to make. The nice thing about these challenges is you only have 10 items that you can get, so it definitely limits you, but it also makes it a lot easier. I'm thinking I definitely want to get some beans. Probably going to get some pinto beans. I could definitely do something with egg noodles. I can think of quite a few dishes I want to do with that. However, those are not very filling. So because they're not very filling, I'm not going to get as much bang for my buck. So I'm still debating. I think what I'm going to do is just give it a good once over. I could make some yellow rice and red beans, like a Cajun red beans and rice dish. I also saw the canned meats. I want to make sure I'm getting some meat products in here in this video for my viewers that like to eat that way. Sometimes I tend to eat a little more vegetarian, and this time I'm trying to incorporate more meats. When I see this luncheon loaf, I'm thinking definitely Spam and eggs would be a good meal. I could do some Spam musubi if I could find some seaweed somewhere. I doubt that I'm going to find that, though. Some of the seaweed rolls. Okay, they've got the tuna. Tuna sandwiches would be healthy. And they had just actually received an order in of bread, so that was good. I was able to grab a loaf that was fresh. And they also had these croissants. These little mini croissant rolls. And these hot dog buns. They did have hot dogs, but hot dogs aren't that, they're not that healthy for you, and I'm not really wanting to do hot dogs, so I think I'm going to get some regular bread. I saw this tomatoes, okra, and corn, and you know how I love okra. And they had jasmine rice. I think I would like to get the jasmine rice, just for a nice change, and I do love jasmine rice, but they only have 10 servings in this. As opposed to, they say 20 servings. I'm not sure that's 20 servings in that. But so I went ahead and went with the long grain rice. And they also had lots of the stock. I've got my vegetarian bouillon that I'm going to be using. Now for this challenge, I'm going to use any of the condiments in my house that I want to use. That I think is going to be in a normal kitchen. Now, I did see these veggie meatballs. I didn't pick any up, but I'm curious if any of you have tried those. I do kind of wish I would have grabbed some of those, because I think those could have been fun outside of this video just to try out. But I was pleasantly surprised. They did have quite a bit, actually. But I was definitely looking for another meat source. They had these little meatballs, which I thought of a lot that I could do with those, but, and then they had the stir-fry blend, which I know that I need a vegetable, so I think I might get that. I was shocked, though. They even had okra, and they had cauliflower, the little diced cauliflower, which I thought was really nice for anyone that's on a low-carb diet. That's a really good option. And then, of course, they have the mixed vegetables. But I think I'll probably... Oh, and then the peppers. I would love to get the pepper stir fry again, but I need to get something that's a little bit more sustainable. And then they had the Jennie-O turkey burger. I know that's a good quality because we do buy the Jennie-O turkey meat in our family. So even though it's a small amount, I'm probably going to go ahead and pick that up. And they had fish sticks. Now, they had this huge thing of French fries, and my son actually purchased these from the Dollar Tree, and they're really tasty, but I just don't want to get fries this time. I just think that they're so... I mean, we all, in American society, we eat fries all the time, so there's nothing special about that. They had asparagus up there as well, But I think I'm going to go with a mixed vegetable bag just because they've got the broccoli in there, and I love broccoli. I eat broccoli quite a bit. I love doing a lot with these mixed berries. However, I don't have enough money in the budget, so I'm just going to put those back, but I do love those. And I saw this sour cream. They called it imitation sour cream, but it was weird because the first ingredient was skim milk, and then it had a few other items that I didn't recognize, so it kind of turned me off on getting that. But I was thinking about maybe doing like a stroganoff or something with the little meatballs and the noodles, but I think I'll pass on that. And then I was thinking, what kind of sandwiches could I make? Because it's a good amount of food to get the bread. And I saw this creamy peanut butter. If you saw my last video, you know that I purchased peanut butter at the Dollar Tree, and it was this brand right here, right here, and it was so dang delicious. And I wanted to get it again, but for the sake of having some variety in my videos, I didn't do it, and I'm going to make something else for you. But just know that if you see that there, that is super tasty, and you should get it. They also have this chili seasoning mix. I'm thinking actually about making my own chili. So I've already got all of the seasonings, but if you didn't, you could certainly buy that. But I'm thinking if I can find some tomatoes that I want to buy, I can use those along with the Jennie-O turkey burger, because I do use turkey in my chili. Okay, and then I was looking for breakfast items. They had this Betty Crocker buttermilk pancake mix, which I'm sure is really tasty. And then they have this house brand that it's not really a house brand, but they have it there all the time. But I would definitely go for the Betty Crocker if I was going to get that. But honestly, it's just like having bread for breakfast. It's not a lot of nutrition. I do love grits. I haven't had them for a long time, but I do love them. I'm going to pass on them this time. So I definitely think that I will get the most use for my budget if I make a big pot of chili. And I'm looking at these different, I've got tomato sauces and I've got a can of tomatoes. And this can of tomato sauce, I'm looking at the ingredients, and I think I could make this work for a big pot of chili. It's a lot larger than the actual can of tomatoes. The only thing that I don't like about it is it does have fructose corn syrup in it for a sweetener. Now this garlic and herb, I was looking at that, and that does have basil and some other ingredients that obviously doesn't go into a chili. However, the one to the left of this actually I think would work. Ooh, yeah, I saw this fire roasted diced tomatoes that really caught my eye. That actually is going to be delicious in chili. Again, it's not as big as the other container, so I'm kind of going back and forth on which one I'm going to get the most out of. Either this with these ingredients or the fire roasted. Now, when I do my chili at home, I do a mixture of kidney beans and pinto beans. And I was actually surprised at how many beans, all of the variety of beans that they had at the Dollar Tree. But they have these refried beans and charro beans, which looked really interesting. These had jalapeno peppers, tomatoes, onions, and seasonings already in them. So I thought that'd make a great option to throw in the chili. But I am going to be using dry beans. So again, I'm going to pick up some pinto. Those are my favorite for chili. They did have a lot of nice seasonings there. And I do have a well-stocked spice cabinet. And I will say that if you're going to cook on a budget, you do need to have a lot of spices on hand, because it just makes your food go so much further. And they even have this Cajun style Kingsford blend, which is really nice. I have a ton of and they have the sriracha salt as well, which I thought my son might like. But I already have a lot of Cajun seasonings, so I don't need to pick up any. But I thought if you don't have any, you can pick that up there. You can make your own as well. Oh, and they had Tony's Creole seasoning. I have this at home, and I'm probably going to be using that. You can also make your own pretty much with everything that's in that blend. Oh, I saw these Hungry Jack potatoes, and I have been thinking about this little dish that I made in my Christmas video last year. It was so delicious. I wanted to get that again just so I could eat that again, but I'm trying to do all new stuff, so I'm going to just stick with the chili idea, and let's get out of here. Okay, here are the 10 ingredients that I ended up walking out of the store with. I got the bread, I got the white rice, the long grain white rice, I got the pinto beans, of course, and I got the Jenny O turkey burger. I'm going to use that for the chili. I got the fire roasted diced tomatoes for the chili. I'm going to use the tomatoes and okra and corn for the gumbo that I'm going to make. I'm going to serve that alongside some rice, and I think that that will be really delicious. This bread is going to go quite a long way. I'm going to be able to use that. Again, I'm going to use that with the tuna, but I'm also going to be able to use that with scrambled eggs. I can make some egg sandwiches if I want. I can make some egg salad sandwiches. I'll probably try to make a stir fry with this with the rice. I'm going to use the quick oats, and I'm going to do a couple of different things with those. I'm going to eat some oatmeal with those, and I'm also going to probably make some oatmeal pancakes. That was quite a large amount for $1, so I'm happy with that. So let's see what kind of delicious meals I can come up with. So for this video, I'm going to work on some meal prep and just making as many things as I can up in advance. I'm actually going to cook all of this rice. My rice cooker is an 8-cup rice cooker. I've never needed to cook more than 8 cups at a time. But for this, I'm going to go ahead and cook one pot first, and then I'm going to go ahead and cook the second pot. And I'm going to keep all of my rice in the fridge. I might throw some of it in the freezer as well and then pull it out at the end of the week. But I always wash my rice really good first, and then I'm just going to put it in the crock pot and get that going. So for my first meal, I'm going to make the gumbo, and these are some of the ingredients that are going to go in it. I'm actually only going to use a few of these spices, but the tomatoes, okra, and corn are the main ingredient along with rice, and I'm going to use my vegetable bouillon and the Tony's Creole seasoning that I talked about earlier. And these are just all spices that would go into the Tony's seasoning. If you didn't have that, you could use these as a substitute. I actually put the garlic salt out there. However, I think I wouldn't use the garlic salt now that I'm thinking about it, because if you have the vegetable bouillon, that's going to have a lot of salt in there. If you don't have the vegetable bouillon, then you could try the garlic salt. And then if I want to splash a little bit of the Crystal hot sauce on the top at the end, I'll go for that. I'm hoping there's enough tomatoes in there. I might need to steal a couple out of the Hunt's can, but we'll see how it goes. have to say, this was my favorite meal of the entire video. It was so delicious. The flavor was spot on. The only thing I would have done differently is add a little bit more broth, and the next day I did, and it was absolutely perfect. It was inspired by a restaurant that I went to a few years ago. I think it was a Persian restaurant. I'm going to show a picture here in a second. But if you want to add some sausage, you could add 2 cans of okra mixture, and you'll have a good meal for 4 people for $4. You should try this. It is amazing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make some oatmeal pancakes up for the week and put those in the fridge so that I don't have to cook during the week. I do love making oatmeal pancakes. I do make them quite frequently. Often I'll throw in a can of pumpkin or something like that along with it, and it makes a really satisfying and healthy breakfast. These are the ingredients that I'm going to be using in the mixture for this go around, and let's get into it. I also did add some butter here, and if I had to do this syrup over again, I would have cut this in about 1/3. I ended up with way too much for what I needed, and I'm not a huge syrup eater anyway, but yeah, it turned out great, so I'm happy with it. Next up, I'm making chili. I don't know about you, but we are a chili loving family, and we just make it all the time. Here are the spices I'm going to be using. I'm going to use the ground turkey, as well as the diced tomatoes and chili powder, onion powder, ground cumin, and the vegetable bouillon. I'll be using just a touch of cayenne pepper, and I'll also add some extra garlic powder in there. The vegetable bouillon does have a lot of seasonings in it already, so but I do always add on extra in addition to that. So let's get started. So I've made chili so much that I just pretty much eyeball it at this point when I'm putting in my seasonings. But I do want to say this. Chili is like a fine wine. It ages with time and just gets better. With wine, there's like a complex chemical reaction occurring over time. It's pretty much the same thing with the chili, I think, where if you leave it going for quite a while and then come back and taste it, it's just so much more intense. So if you want to go lighter on the seasonings in advance and then add more later on, you can do that, because like I said, it will intensify and it's going to end up tasting a lot different than it does right after you first end up putting those seasonings in. This was absolutely delicious. I was shocked actually at how good it was. especially with the limited amount of ingredients that we had. Now, if you like your chili with a little bit less broth, then obviously don't put as much liquid into yours, but this is the exact consistency that our family likes it. Next up, I'm making egg salad sandwiches, and honestly, I haven't made these in such a long time, and I actually don't know why, because they're super delicious. I wasn't sure if 3 eggs, hard-boiled eggs, would be enough for 2 sandwiches, but as it turns out, it was the perfect amount. So you're just going to hard-boil your eggs and add mayonnaise and mustard and salt and pepper, just enough salt and pepper to taste, the way that you like it, and then mash the inside up, and then I'm going to chop up the hard-boiled egg portion, and then just gently fold those into the yellow of the egg. Now, I was a little extra on this, so I'll have to admit, I wanted to make sure that there was a lot of moisture in my sandwich, so I added some extra mayonnaise. Now, I was just talking to one of my viewers the other day, and she was talking about using avocado spread for an egg sandwich, and I think that's such an awesome idea. I would not obviously mix the avocado in with the egg, but I would use it on the bread, and then I would probably layer the eggs on the sandwich. That's going to give you the moisture and the creaminess that you want in the sandwich. So I think that would be super delicious. This was really good as is, and I just don't know why I don't make this more often. It was awesome, and I ate one now, and then I put one in the fridge for my lunch tomorrow. Okay, if you watch my channel, you know I love stir fries. However, I'm always using fresh vegetables for those stir fries because I really like the crispy texture. But in this case, I'm going to use frozen. I'm using soy sauce, some chili garlic sauce, some sesame oil, and garlic powder. Now, I really hesitated to use the sesame oil because I don't know, is sesame oil a common staple in most people's pantry? And I'd really like to know. And honestly, if you're a subscriber of mine, I do hope you would say yes, because you know that I love sesame oil. If you like the flavor of it, I definitely think that you should have it in your kitchen because it works so well in so many different applications, and it is not expensive, especially if you just use a few drops at the end. The mistake a lot of people make is using it to fry things, and I don't do that. I just use it as a flavor component at the end, so therefore it's very inexpensive, and a bottle will last me a long time. Here you see I'm just going for a sweet hot flavor. I like to mix a little bit of sugar with soy sauce, which I do frequently. It's more like a little bit of a teriyaki, but it's a sweet hot flavor, and then I just put a little bit of the sesame on the end, and I actually do need to figure out a way to transfer that sesame oil to another bottle because they always have a big open bottle at the top, and so you just end up pouring it out a little too much. So yeah, I definitely need to work on that. But I actually had this for 2 nights in a row, and I couldn't wait to eat it again. My only complaint was that there weren't more vegetables. Here are some of the additional meals that I made. I didn't show everything, but I will put my menu in the description list if you want to see everything that I ate for the week. And I really enjoyed this challenge. I think I realized a couple of things. First of all, I should be utilizing frozen vegetables more often. I definitely love the ease of use of using those in my stir fry, and also I can keep them in my freezer for future use. I also really enjoyed discovering the gumbo that I made, as well as making chili with just a few ingredients. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.